All right, here's a tour of my off-grid water system. So we've had cabins up here in the Adirondacks for going on 14-15 years now, and we've had various iterations of water systems and how to get water. So in my current property, what we have here is we got a 300-gallon IBC tote. You've probably seen these available on Facebook or at garage sales before. You can usually pick them up pretty cheap. In our area, anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks. And then what we have here, got a little reducer nipple here, screws onto the outlet that goes into a garden hose fitting. That comes into, basically what this is an RV water pump. Now you can get these in 12 volt, or you can get them with a plug on them as well for direct power. In our older cabins, we did have these 12 volts. You could run them off a power pack. You could run them off of a car battery, and that's good when you're truly off-grid. We're lucky enough to have power now, so we've upgraded to one that plugs directly in. So here's your RV water pump. The nice thing is these are on demand, meaning at the other end of this, whenever you open a valve, it senses the demand for water and will pump the water. But when you turn it off, the pump shuts off. So that's the key to these RV pumps. So here we have the outlet here. And what we're doing is we're running a little Y here because I do still have my RV here, so that we're hooking that hose to the city water connection on the back of the RV. But the other part of the Y, you can see we have hooked up to the outside of the pallet cabin, and we have a full overview of what we've done with the pallet cabin. We did electricity, we did plumbing, we did insulation. We have a lot of creature comforts we put in there. But now what this is allowing us to do is have on-demand water inside for a toilet and a sink. The pump here is a Seaflow RV water pump. You can see the specs right there, and you can pick these up on Amazon, not too bad. I believe this is, at the time I purchased it, maybe around 100 bucks. There's different brands you can get. I would say, you know, if you want something halfway decent, anywhere between 70, 80 bucks up to 150 bucks. You get what you pay for, so don't go bare bones cheap unless you have to, because I did have a previous model here and the thing quit in less than a year, and you know, and these are only seasonal use, so that was no good, and it died right in the middle of summer. So but this the Seaflow grade is actually pretty decent. There's a link down in the description if you want to check them out. But my father's been using one of these on his setup, which I'll show you in a second, for about 2-3 years now. So I went ahead and switched over to this brand, and it's served me well. These fittings you can also just pick up on Amazon, or probably even at like maybe a local Tractor Supply or something. You'll want to get, I'll just turn this off for a second so you can see a little better. For this type of setup, you'll want to get this down to a garden hose. This is just a male nipple on the end of here. You can also get this in a blank off cap. So typically what I'll do in the winter time is I'll drain the tank, dry it out, and leave the valve open. And because we get very, very cold temperatures, so just so you know, any remaining water doesn't mess up the mechanism in there. But there's also a cap you can put on here where there's no nipple, just a plain cover. So I get both of those for these systems, and that just allows me to keep it clean, keeps critters and dirt from getting inside the outlet there. All right, here's a closer look. Now again, the tank itself is just an IBC tote. You know, when you do pick these up, I don't think I mentioned this before, but you want to make sure they are food grade, because they do, you know, ship other chemicals and oils and stuff in here. But as long as it's for something that was food grade previously, I found those perfectly safe. Of course, it's, you know, dirty in here because of the critters and whatever, but this is you know, we just built a little box, keeps the sun off the water. If you can keep your water tank in a shady spot, it'll certainly limit any mold or algae that grows in it. Whenever I fill this up, I also toss about a quarter cup of bleach in there, just some plain Clorox. It's just like chlorinating your pool or city water. And what that'll do is it increases the longevity, the life of the water, so that you don't start to grow algae and stuff. Especially if you're in a sunny area, you'll want to shade your tank. But what I wanted to point out here is when you get these IBC totes, they'll usually come with just a regular cap on here. And a key to pumping water out of one of these things on demand is you have to vent the top. If you don't, the tank itself will collapse. It'll create so much suction, it'll actually collapse the top of the tank. So I like to get these aftermarket caps here. This one has an insert in it, so it's a smaller hole through the top. Good if you're gonna put any fittings, but it also allows you to have this, basically you just leave this loose and that's your vent. As long as you're not cranking right down on this, you're allowing air to go in as the water's escaping the tank, and that's pretty handy. Also allows you to fill this up without opening the larger cap. You can see you get a lot of debris and whatever down in here. Leaves in the fall, pine needles, anything. Every time you have that big cap open, you risk things falling into it. So using this little cap when we get our deliveries, we have a local guy that delivers water, so that's pretty handy. We can just stick the hose right in a smaller hole, and it prevents any extra debris. And again, don't crank it down when you're putting it back on. You know, just put it in there, leave it loose. That allows the air to get in as the water's exiting out the bottom. I'll dive into this deeper on another video, but you can see we're coming right out of the RV pump and the water tank over there into the Y. Half my water goes over into the RV. The rest is coming over here to the pallet cabin. We just basically put a little pigtail, a PEX pigtail right here out to a garden hose connection. And that's going in, and that is supplying water to the toilet and to a sink. You know, it's very important that if you are going to have a water tank, especially one of these IBC totes, that you either throw a tarp over it or put it in a shady location, because eventually when you have the water, especially over a long period of time, you know, with the sun beating down on it, it's inevitable that you will start to get some green in the water. Will grow a little algae. As I mentioned before, it's always a good idea to chlorinate that. You know, a quarter cup of Clorox bleach, or you know, any bleach. It's really acting the same as chlorinating, whether it's a city water or pool water. You're keeping the water you know, free of bacteria and algae. So you can look that up on the internet, do a quick search in terms of, you know, what's safe to add based on the total gallons of water. Usually for this tank, which is 275, 300 gallons, just like about a quarter cup. I just kind of eyeball it. Very safe in terms of, you know, showering and washing dishes and everything like that. I even brush my teeth with it. It's totally fine. But to be safe, you know, certainly look up the proportions on the internet, and you can get the safe ratio to add to your water.